Hey everybody, Stu Smith here, going live. Hope you guys are well. This is Tuesday. Hope you had a good Memorial Day weekend. So, obviously, I didn't do a show yesterday, so we're going to do two shows this week, 9:30 today and 9:30 tomorrow. So, the CSS critique show will be tomorrow. So, if you do have any CSS videos you want me to critique on the show, happy to do it. Also, if you don't want it on the show, no worries. I will just email you my critique if you send in a video. You can do that through stu@stusmith.com, or you can send it to me on Instagram, DM. Usually, as long as that video is under a minute, it should be pretty good. But if I can see you swim down and back and somebody walk along the pool with you, filming you, I can tell you what you're doing right or wrong pretty quickly. So anyway, the first point of business today is what a lot of people um, often experience when doing pull-ups. They'll get their first pull-up, start seeing some improvement pretty quickly, maybe get to 10 or 12, and then they find themselves stuck there for a significant amount of time. You might even be stuck at 15 and want to get over 20. I've had some people that are stuck at 20 that want to get over 30. That's a separate issue. Usually I just try to get people up to 20, 25, and then just let your normal training build you up to 30 versus really spending more time trying to improve up to 30 for any like spec ops fitness test anyway. Usually 20 to 25 is really good, and 30 is great, but it comes at a cost. Usually that cost is you're going to have to do more volume. You may have to do some weighted pull-ups. You might strain muscles with this added volume or added weight that can prevent you from doing more pull-ups. So my advice is if you can get 20 pull-ups, 25 pull-ups, focus on something else. I mean, you want to maintain that, but focus on some other weakness. It might be push-ups, it might be sit-ups, it might be running or swimming. Don't double down on a strength to leave a weakness underdeveloped. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people do that. Like really great swimmers say, I'm going to be the best swimmer there. And then they can't even run a mile and a half or 4 miles without breaking. Um, I see it with guys that still want to lift heavy weights, be the strongest in the class, but there's really no bench press contest in these programs. So, we all like to do certain physical activities, especially the ones we're good at doing. Um, I know some people that wouldn't even walk into a gym and if there wasn't a bench press. So I get it, but in the world of tactical fitness, you have to really be good at everything, not just great at one or two things. Because that, I promise you, that weakness will be exposed near immediately in your training. And you're either going to not meet the standard due to that weakness, get injured because of that weakness and overtraining it, or um, just have to double down so hard on your mental toughness to be able to get through that weakness that it will require a significant amount of effort to suck it up and get through that when other people are just coasting. It's okay. People do that. People get through buds completely on the tough side, but it's something that if you can avoid, you want to try to engage mental toughness as little as possible and just make it fun and challenging training. Um, but anyway, there's three things that I would do if I was stuck at pull-ups. One, I would try my normal volume, maybe cut my volume by 25% or 35%, and add a weight vest. So now I'm going to add 20, 30-pound weight vest. Instead of doing sets of 10 or 12, I'm going to do 5 or 6. So my volume's cut in half, but my work effort is definitely increased per pull up. Another way to do that too is to do a combination of weight vest calisthenics burnout. Something I like to do is max reps on a 20-pound weight vest, take the weight vest off, max reps without the weight vest, see what you can do. That is usually a great 1-2 combo that has an element of strength, makes pull-ups a little bit harder, and you're topping it off with the muscle stamina that you need to take your pull-ups to another level, because your first few pull-ups are strength exercises. Your 20th pull-up is a muscle stamina exercise. Though strength is a part of that journey, your volume is going to really dictate how well your muscle stamina can improve. The other one is add a weightlifting cycle. If you're starting to feel burned out, like your joints hurt, your pull-ups are stagnant or even going down, just shift out of that calisthenics phase and do a lift cycle, maybe 6, 8 weeks. Heavy pull downs, bent over barbell rows, deadlifts, those are activities too that can put on some muscle mass that may be able to help you get a little stronger, and then you can take that muscle stamina to the next level on the next, calisthenics cardio cycle. So there's multiple ways to do this. Just writing an article on it right now. Um, I think one of our listeners last week inspired me to write it. He had a goal of getting 30 pull-ups, and he's at 20. And so I always start that off with, don't double down on a strength. If it's already good, it's great to keep it good. Doesn't have to be the best, especially if you have an underlying weakness that you're ignoring, right? Now, if you don't and you want to be the best, that's fine too. But um, it's just I've just seen it. I've seen it backfire on people when they double down on a strength. So we got a few questions over here. Let's see what we got here. If we gain 1 kilogram or 2, this already can affect the number of pull-ups we can do. For example, losing 1 rep in the max that you do. It's possible, but if you're putting on muscle mass, it may make you stronger to be able to do more pull-ups. But I will say, if you gain 5 pounds, you'll notice it. It may make pull-ups a little harder. So, in fact, I'm working with a guy right now that wants to try to break the Guinness Book of World Records for max pull-ups in a minute. And it's beyond my type of training to do this. And I think the record is 77 in 1 minute, which is remarkable. But he only weighs 135 pounds, and he's very strong. And I think right now he's in the 50s or 60s, and he think he can push it to another level. So I was like, ooh. So interesting stuff. Once again, lots of volume, and it's relative. 100 pull-ups for a 135-pound guy is a lot different than 100 pull-ups for a 200-pound guy. So you have to also, take a look at it that way. Your volume matters not only just on your joints of doing that many reps, but how heavy you are as well. Do you think 30 days is enough time to get 330, 500 yard down to 12 minutes, trying to do SAR Corman. Yes, that's not impossible at all. I've seen guys go from 10 minutes to 8 minutes. So going from 13 to 12 is definitely doable. You just need to be swimming 5 days a week and maybe even 6. Let's see. What do you think about density volume training? A kind of every minute on the minute, for example, 6 sets at 30% of your max reps every 75 seconds. I'm doing this way. I like that. I like limited rest, max reps. Um, because it will teach you to recover quickly. We tend to do something similar, but we try to do it with active rest. Like a lot of our calisthenic rest is with a cardio event. So we may do a max set of pull up, push ups, sit ups, and dips, and then go jog for a quarter mile, come back, and that is our rest. Plus, you're resting muscle groups by different exercises. So you're doing a push, pull, ab, push cycle, um, which is enough time to rest for sure by being actively resting. But yeah, that's a good way to do it. It's a good way to definitely help you learn how to buffer lactate quickly, uh, and eventually do more reps at a higher volume for like a fitness test. So over here on Instagram, somebody says, "Hey Stu, got any tips for Army Marine assessment course? I'm heading out this Sunday." Army Marine assessment course. What the hell is that? Is that like a dive course or something? Army Marine assessment course, like a maritime assessment course? Is that what you're talking about? Combat. Oh, you're talking about the Green Beret pipeline, right? The combat dive qualification course, CDQC. Um, I will tell you this: there are no tips. It's just you and your athletic history and your work that you've put into your preparation. That is what's going to get you through Army dive school or any dive school, right? You got to tread. My advice is work on some mobility. Helps your treading a little bit better, helps your streamlining a little bit better. But there really are no tips, you know. There's no hacks to that. It's your hard work is going to get you through that. Period. Yeah. So if you're looking for tips and tricks, I don't have them. Let's see. Running at a 10-minute pace, would I be better off just running your beginner running to 5K page, or would I be better off just running phase one book? Um, we've had guys at the 10-minute mile pace start off with that phase one program. It's doable, completely doable. Um, but you will just have to personalize it for your goal pace. Goal pace for you will be different. My advice would be every time you run a set of say intervals, let's say you're doing 10 400-meter runs at goal pace. My advice would be you're at a current 10-minute mile, drop it down somewhere between 8:30 and 9-minute mile pace. So that's going to be somewhere between, I don't know, 2:15, 2:30. No, that's 10. 2:10 and 2:15, for every quarter mile. That'd be about a 8:30-ish, somewhere around there. So yeah, try that. See how that works. Um, yeah, sometimes you just have to personalize these programs to fit your current abilities. Some people that are, running 6-minute miles and want to break 9-minute mile and a halves, you have to do the math and figure out what your goal pace is for those distances. Let's see. Hey, Stu, I take my FBI in 2 weeks, FBI PFT in 2 weeks. I've been trying to do 4 times my max push-ups daily as training. Should I add weight training or keep it as the push-ups? I wouldn't do that for too long. I'm assuming you're doing my 2-week protocol on that. You can try adding weights. Maybe try adding weights every other day. But I wouldn't do that for more than 10 days. 10 days, people see negative results after high volume daily pull-ups or push-ups. Or they see tendonitis and then they can't do push-ups for a while. So I promise you that will happen. Let's see. Yeah, so usually when you do a lot of daily volume, you'll either experience some form of shoulder, elbow tendonitis, negative results because you're burning out and not recovering. But if you're doing it right and you stop it at 10 days, take 3 days off, test yourself, that might be a perfect overload balance for you that actually sees results in 14 days. That's what that 2-week protocol is. If you're not familiar with that, there's a free 2-week protocol to increase your pull-ups and push-ups significantly. I've seen people do it 50 to 100%. You guys check out this article for over there, those over there on Instagram. If you just type in 2 free week protocol Stu Smith, you'll see it pop up. For those of you guys over here on YouTube, you can just click it. Should be good. But yeah, read that article and make sure you're doing it on the program. Okay, here's a great follow-on question, because how to maintain pull-ups, push-ups after the 14-day program. Any specifics and or time before doing it again? I wouldn't necessarily do it again unless you see some results, because there comes a time when your volumes, your scores are pretty good. Like people who are doing it at 80 and trying to get 100, that's a hard one to do. My advice is there are 3 workouts in a week that you need to go to. Instead of every day, go every other day and do this. One's going to be a pyramid, one's going to be a superset, one's going to be a max rep set. That will push you off any plateau and help you to continue to grow and or maintain what you're trying to do. So I just put a link in the comment section for you guys over here on YouTube and Facebook, and for you guys over here as well over on Instagram. But this article is called My 3 Favorite Workouts to Crush Fitness Tests, Pyramid, Superset, Max Rep Sets, and How to Use Them. That's what you do after that program, or actually get on a program versus just reading an article and doing it. Should I focus on losing weight to run faster, or if I have some excess body fat? Yeah, I wouldn't lose weight if you don't need to lose weight, but if you need to lose weight, it will help you. Running will probably help you lose weight. And now, if you have excessive amount of weight that running hurts, my advice would be to cut your running in half, and whatever mileage you're missing from running, do 10 minutes on a bike or elliptical or rowing machine or swims. Do some non-impact cardio, because I promise you your shins, feet, and knees will thank you if you are overweight and trying to run a lot of miles. Let's see, who else we got? Taylor here. Good morning, everyone, from Athens, Georgia. Doing my 600 push-ups while watching. Yeah, well, that's a lot of volume. If you're doing it every day, you'll see some results at first. then you'll start seeing some tendonitis and negative results. So I've just seen it happen way too many times. Don't do it every day. Um, just thought I'd drop in and say I hit a 840. Nice, mile and a half. Now I'm looking to cut that in half and hit a 420-minute mile. Thank you for all you do. Why? Dude, I mean, unless you're on a track team, you don't need to run a 420 mile. You know, if you're training for something in the military, you may want to just be happy with sub 6 and maybe lift some weights, build some durability so you put on a ruck better. Do I have a shin splint protocol? I've ramped up to 20 miles a week pretty quickly and need to back off. Yeah, that's what happens. It goes with running and high rep calisthenics. You do too much, too quickly, too long, something's going to bite. And it's usually a tendonitis in a joint or shin. Yeah, I want you to read this. Fix this. There's an article I wrote with a doctor of physical therapy. Um, and he has some really good recommendations for shin splints. Um, he was worked with us for a while in our local group. It was very helpful. So check out that article. It's a good one. Then there's some follow-on articles as well in there that might link you to some good, safe shin building exercises. Um, Running during the Murph yesterday, had a low back pain just above the hip on my right side. Would your lower back plan help with that or something? Yeah, some mobility training would. Was it were you running with a weight vest? Because sometimes, if you're leaning forward funny and you tweak it, you probably just have a pulled muscle or something. But yes, that lower back plan is a good stretching routine to walk you through some of that pain. Might loosen up some of it, but be gentle with it. My advice is warm up well. Try some plank poses. Just see how that feels first, um, and then just stretch it out. Try some hanging. See if some decompression helps it a little bit, but be gentle with it. Anything with the back needs to be seriously taken seriously. Any tips on improving running? I'm hitting a 9-minute pace for all of my 400 repeats, but when I try to do an all-out mile, I can't get 6-minute pace. Um, well, if you're doing a 9-minute pace, you're not going to get a 6-minute pace. Maybe you're misspeaking. Maybe you're talking about a 9-minute pace for a mile and a half, which is a 6-minute mile pace. My advice is rest less. That's my tip. So don't rest as much. Cut your rest in half and see if you can continue that 6-minute pace for your 400s. What's my current routine looking like these days? Well, I'm actually doing this one. Spring training, get into and through selection with my guys who are preparing for selection. So I do as much as I can out of this book. I will say this, today was like a hill day, so we ran 2.5 miles just to get to the hill. They ran that thing fast. I had to stop once to use the bathroom, had to stretch twice, so I am much slower, but I got it done. Got to the hill, ran the hill. They ran a few more hills than I did, and then we ran back, hitting some intervals. My intervals were a little slower, but yeah. Um, that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing what it says in the book. Basically, these are my workouts that I invite people to join me on, and that's what we do. I also coach, with them. So sometimes some of my intensity drops because I have to show somebody proper technique as well, or fix something that they're doing wrong. But for the most part, I'm getting 85, 90% of what they're doing done. So, okay, let's see. How do injuries affect guys in the team's deployment and training cycles? Just like they affect anybody else. Whether that you're on a sports team or you're just a guy who likes to work out, it's going to affect you from doing workouts. It's going to affect you from possibly doing your job. Depends on what those training cycles are. There's a lot in training cycles and even deployment cycles where, depending on the injury, you can work around it and still do the tactical training that you're doing that day. It may not be a 20-mile ruck to get somewhere and you have a knee injury, you can't do it. It may be you're flying in and you're only walking, a couple hundred meters to do whatever you're doing. And most of it is tactically driven with, shooting or explosives or something like that versus actually hard physical pounding on your body. So it really depends. It depends on the guy's experience, how bad you need them. Might be able to help somebody else, in a advisory mode versus the actual person doing the activity. So it just really depends. There's no real answer on that. But I will tell you this: injuries affect us all throughout training, and um, when you're a active duty operator, and you just really work hard to get over them quickly. Um, Last 2 months, I've plateaued my max 2-minute push-ups in about 65. Typically do 1,200 push-ups a week. Maybe that method won't help my max. Any tips? Yeah, 1,200 push-ups a week is obviously not helping your 2-minute push-up test, right? That's probably 600 too many, to be honest with you. My advice is do more um, longer set, longer duration push-up sets. So you're actually working the part of the volume that's the hardest. So one way we do it that helps reduce some of that volume is we'll do a bench press. Let's say we're doing body weight bench, and you can do 6 body weight bench before you can't get the 7th one up, right? And you fail on that 7th one. Someone helps you up, you flip over on your belly, crank out as many push-ups as you can immediately after that bench, and I promise you that is going to feel like those last 30 seconds of a push-up test. That is how we simulate 2 minutes worth of push-ups and just get those last 30 seconds worth of push-ups in a 2-minute test. And I've seen people like blow up quickly uh, without having to do all the volume of, you know, 12 sets of 50 every day, to get 300. You're only getting good at doing 50 push-ups. You need to try to work some higher volume or simulate higher volume doing it like we just did. Same way we do with the weight vest that I mentioned earlier. Weight vest pull up, take the weight vest off, crank out as many pull-ups as you can right afterwards. Might not get many, might only get 5, but you're pushing that threshold that is preventing you from doing more. And chances are you'll be able to do more in a few weeks doing that. Not every day, because you need rest. All right, this daily calisthenic stuff at high volumes got to go. I don't recommend it. Let's see, how many times a week would you recommend running on the beach in combat boots? Right now, I'm doing one of my long, easy runs on the beach a week. I will say this. My recommendations on this one has changed over the years, and mainly because the boots have changed. Back in my day, we ran in these Vietnam era jungle boots and they sucked and you needed to break them in. Well, and what's the best way to break them in? Walking, rucking, running in them. So that's what we did. We probably spent 50, 60% of our runs in these boots just to break them in so they fit our feet. We weren't getting blisters all the time when we used them, things like that. Now, since then they've had two more generations of boots come out. The next one was the Bates boot. That needed a little bit. I'd say maybe 25, 30% of your runs per week in boots could break those in. They were almost broken in when you got them. And nowadays, the old Nike Combat Gen 2 boots are really nice. They're basically running shoes that look like a boot. Not a lot of break-in time needed, not a lot of preparation needed to get used to running in these lighter boots compared to the older days. So if your boots are light, my advice is I wouldn't sweat it too much. Maybe, once a week is fine. Um, but make sure they fit well. There's no hot spots. And, you know, you definitely want to get them formed to your feet. So when you do start really training in them every day, there's no spot that's going to give you a blister every single day. And next thing you know, you're bleeding through your boots and gets infected. And now you got to deal with all that. Hey, Stu, quick question. Currently doing your 12-week PST program and was curious about the 25-meter, 100-meter run speed. We talking about 6-7 minute mile pace or full out sprint? No. Here's the deal. If you got any of my programs, I usually start off and it's at the top of a workout like this. Like you'll see this right here. Probably can't read it very clearly. Warm up with a push-up pyramid. It's 1 to 10, but stop at 10. It's a half pyramid. 1 to 10. So it's 55 reps with 50-meter runs, dynamic stretches in between each set. So that means you're going to do 1 push-up, jog 50 meters. 2 push-ups, jog 50 meters. Maybe 10 meters of that, you do some high knees, butt kickers, something like that. 3 push-ups, jog 50 meters. So they're warm-ups. It doesn't say sprint. If I wanted you to sprint, I would say sprint as fast as you can. If it's at the top of a column, that is a warm-up, right? Not a pace, just a jog. Some people even walk them, right? Mixing in some dynamic, Frankenstein walks, things like that. So they are warm-ups with those short dual runs. Now, if it's later into the column and they're 50-meter sprints or 100-meter sprints, different story. You run those fast. Oh, let's see. Got a lot of questions today. I appreciate the questions. Any advice on metatalargia recovery? So something in your foot is hurting. Is it a tendon? Is it a bone? What did you break? Or something in one of those little toe joints? I would get really good fitting shoes, supportive insoles, and see if that helps. But not a foot doctor, but I've had foot problems, not horrible ones. Usually a new pair of shoes and good super feed insoles helped significantly. Another question over here on Instagram. How do people deal with SIPE and pneumonia during buds? Any recommendations or prevention or treatment? Written a couple articles about this one. Check out that question. SIPE, pneumonia, rhabdo, Stu Smith. I've written about it a couple of times. You might find it pop up on military.com. But there's not a lot you can do about it. I mean, preventing it, You know, there's some theories out there that if your wetsuit's really tight, it could cause sipe because it's you're inhaling, vapor or water vapor from swimming, and then it's so tight it doesn't allow you to excrete it, um, expire it, I guess. So I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. Um, it's something that people deal with, though. I was lucky and I never got it, but I also didn't have a wetsuit that was really tight. Like I could get into a glide position without feeling like my blood circulation is cutting off between my neck and shoulders. So try that and see if that helps when you have a wetsuit on. Love the content. Question: more reps or more weight? It depends on your goals. You're trying to work on your muscle stamina and endurance. More reps. If you're trying to work on your strength, even power, more weight. Move it fast for power. Are you familiar with knees over toes guy? Yeah. If so, what do you think about adding his workouts to yours for knee health? I've had a few guys do that and they had great results. Couple, and those all every one of them had some kind of knee surgery, so they felt they needed it, and I wasn't arguing with it. I was wanted to see how it would do, and every one of them that did it with ACL tears that were repaired also made it through buds. So, combine that with good preparation, maybe it helped. I don't know, but I will tell you that I know for a fact it helped them. Oh, let's see. What's your approach to building consistency and adherence to a training program? Well, it all starts out with people getting motivated to buy a program, right? Or make one up of their own, right? They're motivated to do this, but I will tell you this, you're not going to be motivated every day to go do it. So that motivation, while you're motivated, you need to create some habits. And those habits need to be set in time to where every day, this time, boom, I'm going to go work out. Um, and then one day you're going to wake up at that time to go work out. And you're not going to feel like working out, but then you get up and you do it anyway. That is when your motivation has evolved into habit forming discipline. And that's what you rely on to build consistency. You don't rely on your motivation. So there you go. There's a story. Um, Thank you for your lower back plan too. I'm going to start it today. Yeah, good. Good luck. Um, how possible do you think it is to get a 1 minute mile? In what? Riding in a car? Very possible. Not even going to entertain that one. Um, what about when it says run fast? I assume that is slower than goal pace, but still quick. No. Goal pace, I don't consider goal pace fast running. Okay. Run fast is fast near sprint level. So I have this thing with sprinting. I like to sprint, but I leave a little bit on the table because every time I've injured myself running, it's because I sprinted too fast and I was not warmed up properly. So pull back a little bit on the 10%. So it's not quite a sprint, but it's faster than goal pace, right? Goal pace is a steady pace that is neither slow nor fast. Does that make sense? All right. So you guys are just goofing off over there. answering each other's questions. Um, let's see what else we got here. All right, so I'm trying to best crush my current program, 90-day beginner. Very good. Good job getting started. The workouts are good, cool down good, but I'm not as proficient and feel sloppy in the warm-ups. Any advice? Um, hmm. Maybe warm up a little longer. Maybe before you start the warm ups, get on a bike for 5 or 10 minutes just to get things warmed up a little bit more. Then do the actual warm ups listed in that 90-day beginner program. That will probably help you a lot more than you think and just get you ready to doing something because eventually your body is going to be able to warm up with a prescribed warm up. But if you're fairly new to exercise, sometimes warming up is just as hard as the workout. So you may need to warm up a little gently, more gently before you go into the actual warm up itself. It's a good question. Never really thought about it that way, but I have seen that be a sticking point for some people that are just starting out because some people's warm ups or some people's workouts are other people's warm ups, right? And one day I'm going to want you as a 90-day beginner to evolve into where you're going to look back at these workouts and say, man, that's my warm up now. I promise you, you will. You'll be able to do a lot more. So, Stu, do you have any tips in running in the heat? My mile-and-a-half pace is fine, but now it's getting pretty hot out there where I live, and I'm finding myself struggling a bit. Yeah, it was hot. It's been hot this week. We're learning sunny, 80s, 90s, not comfortable. Humidity's coming. Make sure you're hydrated. If you can, find shade. Um, we tend to run first thing in the morning before the sun really heats up the day. So I think today is supposed to be hot, but this morning we ran, it was 69 degrees. So not bad at all. But it was humid, still broke a good sweat. Um, Hydration, electrolytes, all those things are going to come into play when you're sweating a lot and running. So make sure you are listening to your body and staying ahead of the hydration issue because that's probably the biggest hurdle out there for most people. And then just getting used to the heat. Get outside and get used to the heat, whether that is just sitting in it or going for a walk in the heat of the day. There's ways to acclimate yourself to heat and cold. Something that we do, we work out outside in the winter as well as the summer because guess what? Your job's going to be outside, so you got to get used to working in cold temperatures and working in hot and humid temperatures or arid if you're in the desert. Um, so we do our workouts outside year round. And I will say it does take a few weeks to acclimate to cold because I will tell you when we were in the winter, um, we're used to 25-degree temperatures, 6 a.m., sometimes less, sometimes at 30, somewhere in that range. Um, but I remember as it started warming up into April, it was still like in the 40s. And I was a little pissed, right? Because I was like, man, it's still cold out. And, but I will say, had it been in January and it was 40 degrees, I'd have been excited. So I think it just takes a little bit of time to acclimate yourself, get your attitude to like defined as what's hot and what's cold. Um, and you'll start seeing it's a little bit easier to be in the hot, be in the cold, but you just got to get out there and do it. Good question. Have you heard any good jokes recently? No, but that is one way to not get a good joke is ask somebody to tell them a joke because I don't know about you, but somebody says, "Hey, tell me a joke." I can't think of a single one. And I got jokes, just can't think of one to tell. Bunch of dad jokes out there though. Those are always fun. Let's see. So we're at 45 minutes here. Um, what's the best joke you ever heard at Bud's? Um, there's always a good little joke that you can set up an instructor with. You know, the typical joke where um, um, ah, I don't know. There's a couple of jokes out there that are online. I think it has something to do with like, ah, don't want to go there. But yeah, just Google Bud's joke during Hell Week, and you might hear a good one. Um, let's see. Any more questions? Are these recorded somewhere? I think you answered my question while I was away. Yeah, if you go to, this is coming from Instagram. If you go to YouTube, all of these live shows that I do are there forever. Like I've been doing these for quite some time. Just started going live over at Instagram. So if you're ever looking for something that I talked about, it's over on my YouTube channel, which is, you just Stu Smith, you'll find me over there on YouTube. And my YouTube's been in existence for many years. I mean, since it almost first came out, I was putting old school CSS videos on there. Got a whole bunch of exercise videos on there, and podcasts on there as well, and these lives. Uh, so it's a good mix of shows that are just there for you to check out. Would it be beneficial to incorporate incline or decline bench press? Yeah, I mean, I'd like a variety of different exercises. So whether I'm doing pull-ups, I'll go wide grip, reverse grip, alternating grip. I'll do incline, decline, regular bench press, close grip, wide grip. So vary it up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. Um, don't ever reply when someone asks for a joke. It raises their expectations. It's got to be unexpected. I would agree. I would agree. All I know is when people ask for a joke, I don't have them. Yes, and yeah, most of my jokes probably aren't YouTube friendly unless they're really corny. Um, how long did you serve in the teams, and what part of the job did you enjoy the most? I was only in the Navy for 8 years. Went to Buds right after I got commissioned. Um, and in the teams, if you don't count Buds, 5 years, 6 years. Um, but I was in the Navy for almost 8 years. The people, I enjoyed the people. I was honored to be in the same room with many people that were much smarter and tactically proficient than I was, and I always felt like I was on that low end of the learning curve. Um, always trying to push myself to learn more, um, because there was people to learn it from, and that was special, I think. And people willing to teach you. That's what made it even more special, because you know you're part of a team that wants to get better as a team. So yeah, that was it for me. Um, let's see. I guess that's it. I do need to go. If you guys haven't been over to stewsmithfitness.com in a while, I got a ton of articles over there, working on a new one right now. In fact, it is called, it's a pretty good one. Um, it is called Beyond the Grind. You'll like this. It'll be out later today. Beyond the Grind, utilizing rest days to sharpen essential special ops skills. So basically, that is just a fancy term for saying, yes, we're taking a rest day, but it is, um, you're still going to do something. You're going to work on your mobility. You're going to work on flexibility. You're going to work on your grip. You may work on land nav or treading or swimming streamlined. Um, there are things that you can work on, technique and tactical skills that don't really stress you out physically. Um, but you can definitely uh, take a rest day, rest physically, but gain some strengths tactically, whether it's walking with a compass, understanding how that works, to, basically just loosening up and feeling better so you can hit the workout again tomorrow. So you call them what you want. You can call them rest days, recovery days, tactical days, skills days, technique days, whatever it is, you still need them. So, um, definitely check out that. I'll send it as a newsletter too, to the folks that are on the newsletter. But you can subscribe to the newsletter at stewsmithfitness.com. Get my weekly emails, um, things like that. But yeah, check it out. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate it. In fact, you can look at this banner right here, Live 15, save 15%, books and ebooks and programs over there, um, if you're interested. So, guess that's it. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do a CSS critique show, and yeah, send in some CSS videos. I'll critique them. You guys have a good one. See you tomorrow.